Am I the asshole for not apologizing to my brother's fiancée? I, F31, have two siblings, Laura, F38, and Roger, M42. Roger has been married twice and has two children, M8 and F6, from his second marriage. He and his second wife were divorced in December partly due to Roger cheating. In March, Roger went on a first date with Erin, F34, and she spent the night at his place and never left. She moved in on the first date and in May they became engaged. My brother has two very large dogs. When Erin moved in, she brought her two very large dogs that are aggressive. I've been told to not make sudden noises, call out, etc. when I have walked into the house before, as this may provoke them. The dogs did not get along and they have had to use baby gates to prevent dogfights. Two of the four dogs are not fixed. One night, Roger's dog, Duke, jumped a gate when he heard someone at the door and both of Erin's dogs attacked him. He spent 2 hours at the vet's where I work getting sewn up. Duke is my favorite dog because he is a sweetheart and wouldn't hurt a fly. Roger told me that he and Erin had to use a metal garbage can and wooden bar stools to beat her dogs off Duke. He had over 17 puncture wounds that needed to be sewn up. Erin admitted when she picked up Duke from the vet that Roger is not great about caring for his dogs. He's rehomed multiple dogs in the past because they were too much work, and that her dogs should not have acted this way. She also stated that Duke would benefit from anxiety medication. Shortly after the fight, Roger, Erin and the children came to my mom's home for Mother's Day. Erin completely changed her position on the dogfight. She began saying that Duke's quality over quantity of life needed to be considered. It sounded a lot like she was hinting at euthanizing him. She also said that anxiety meds would just dope him up. She blamed him entirely for the dogfight and said that all the dogs would get along fine if Duke wasn't around. My mother and I tried to explain that there had been a lot of changes in the home, but Erin was very verbally aggressive. I became very frustrated and texted my mother privately, "I hate this bitch." My mother's phone was in another room. About 15 minutes later, Erin went into another room and came back and ordered Roger and the children to leave. She confronted me that she saw what was on my mother's phone and they left. I did not apologize. My mother, Laura and I talked afterward and agreed that I did not need to apologize because it was a private conversation and that I am allowed to have an opinion. Erin would also have had to snoop to see my mother's text messages. Several weeks after this happened, Roger texted me and said he believes an apology to Erin is in order. I told him that I was willing to move past what happened but that I was not going to apologize. Am I the asshole for sending a text to my mom which called my brother's fiancée a curse word and stated I hated her and then refusing to apologize to her when she saw it on my mom's phone? Update. After the fight, Erin did move her dogs out of the house, but that only lasted about 10 days. They also said they were going to hire trainers, the ones who use shock collars, but never followed through. Erin moved her dogs back into the house. The dogs started peeing on everything and growling a lot. They also would wander into the street and neighbors' lawns. I didn't want to get involved because of the drama. But my friend was interested in Duke and he's now living with her after I set everything up. He's doing great there. I'm still worried about her dogs around my niece and nephew. This sounds familiar, at least the names do. Is this the brother that is mad about you staying at home and not going to his destination wedding at a beach? Not the asshole. Erin needs to quit snooping on people's phones. Not the asshole. Please help Duke if you can. He doesn't deserve to die because someone invaded his home with their two badly trained dogs. Not the asshole, but please take Duke away. I don't know what it's called in English or what it's called where you are. Something like Animal Protective Services, maybe. But please call someone and report them for animal cruelty or something and get Duke removed from there. Firstly, I feel bad for all the dogs involved because your brother and his stupid girlfriend are selfish. They need to just rehome the dogs because they are causing a lot of hurt to the. Now on to if you're the asshole or not. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Hope Duke and the kids are safe. Not the asshole. Erin sounds like a horrible person. Never apologize if you don't believe nor just to keep the peace. I hope your brother doesn't marry her, because he'll end up a 3-time divorcee. Not the asshole. You sent a private message to someone. If she wasn't being nosy, she wouldn't have seen it. Am I the asshole for being a controlling gatekeeper on a vacation home I did not originally purchase? Some background first. I, 31F, married my husband, Chris, 35M, almost 3 years ago after dating for just under 2 years. We both have good jobs, and when I met Chris, He already owned a home and a second home in a resort community. I also owned a home. When we moved in together, we sold my home and used the money from the sale to do some work on both of his homes, and at that time, we put both homes in both our names. The issue is the vacation home. Before it was redone, it was not the nicest place, but he would let his friends and family use it whenever they wanted. He also allowed my friends and family to use it when we started dating. Nor they asked, he offered. Oftentimes, his family and few friends would leave the place in complete shambles. He didn't seem too bothered by it and would just clean up, fix anything that was broken when he used it. I pointed out how disrespectful it was of these people to trash their family, friends' home, and after some time, he spoke to the offending parties, but nothing seemed to improve. When we decided to combine finances and redo the two homes, I told my husband that I really did not want to sink a ton of money into a property that he allowed his family and friends to destroy. He understood my point of view, since I would now have money invested in the property, and respected that I would not be comfortable with certain guests using the property anymore. After we got married, we got to work on our main home. We renovated the bathrooms, kitchen, and bought all new furniture. We had a get-together, pre-see, at our newly renovated home and shared that we planned to start working on the second home soon. A few guests made a couple of comments about not having too many fancy items as they could get broken. I stated that I was not too concerned about it. Fast forward to this past spring and the completion of the work: new bathrooms, kitchen, flooring, drywall in some rooms, and new furniture, and we got a few requests to use the home this summer. I have said no to 3 out of the 6 requests we have gotten. All the no's were Chris's F and F. 1 yes was his side and 2 were mine. His brother, Tyler, 26M, is very angry as he was always allowed to use the home. I stated that I did not trust them in our new home after all the damage that had been done before. He says I am controlling and gatekeeping his brother's house that he had unrestricted access to in the past. I told him that it is now our house and the rules have changed. My mill and Phil have offered to give us a security deposit, and I rejected their offer as $500 may not cover the amount of damage he could do. His family's perspective is we should not have done all this work so we wouldn't feel we had to limit access, and I might be the asshole because we knew by doing the work we would not be granting access to certain people and failed to mention it until now. So am I the asshole? ETA. Thank you all for your input and suggestions. I will take a few of them into consideration as I appreciate the ideas. Also, a few people have commented that the damage that had been done is not enough damage to warrant being banned. I am really curious to know what the line is and will also be sure to add you folks to my banned list. Quote semicolon closing parenthesis dot. And #X200B. Not the asshole. Why can't these people control themselves and stay there without trashing the place? What do their own homes look like? The thought alarms me. At any rate, you sunk money into the home and you and your husband made the choice together to put the property in both your names, so your friends and relatives need to get with the new program and accept it. They're not entitled to the property, and their inability to be courteous guests is to blame for their revoked access. So, your mother-in-law is saying you should have refrained from making repairs and improvements to your house so your entitled brother-in-law could continue to destroy your property? Wow. Not the asshole, obviously. Not the asshole, but from now on, Chris manages his family. Have a, hopefully small, list of people you won't allow, and it's on him to deal with it. Not the asshole obviously. But I'd love to hear more about exactly what kind of damage we're talking about. Are they pissing on the floor? Burning firewood in the oven? How nuts does this get? Not the asshole. The asshole are the freeloaders who destroy a peppery that they're allowed to use free of charge. If they didn't want to lose the ability to use it, then they should have heeded the warnings to be better guests. Sucks to suck. Let them buy their own property to destroy then. Not the asshole, they actually told you they would trash the house. His brother and the others can whine all they want that you won't allow them to use your home and generosity. Not the asshole. It's really odd your husband isn't shutting this down and handling it though. He was the one allowed things to get to where they are in the first place. This should be his responsibility. It isn't his place anymore when you've invested your money into it, aside from the fact it's obviously yours collectively because you're married. Not the asshole. Your husband, who owned the home before your marriage, agreed to this new arrangement, and he's also benefiting by not having to continuously fix things. That being said, you might have talked to them about the property damage and your own concerns about them using it when you started the renovation. These folks are your family now. Am I the asshole for not letting my 13-year-old wear makeup? I, 42F, personally believe that all kids develop in different ways at different paces. My husband, 41M, agrees with me. When we decided to have children, we wanted to raise our children fairly but in a way that reflected their unique needs and interests. What we came up with was a sort of level up system. Each of our kids has a special wall space just for them, divided into different categories: health, hygiene, school, social, etc. Every time our kids do something good, they get a point or more in the respective category. For example, my son, 11M, helped his friend with a computer problem the other day and got 1 point in social and 1 point in technology. My daughter got a special academic achievement award on her last day of school this year and got 3 points in school. Our kids can use the points they earn to unlock certain freedoms and privileges. Both of my kids do well in school, for example, so neither has to do half an hour of mandatory homework time when they get home from school anymore. I should point out that ever since my kids were around 6, they've had some input into how much each freedom, privilege should cost in points. Sorry if that was a bit long-winded. I know my method is a bit unique, but it's worked quite well for our family so far. Of course, every system has its flaws, and my 13-year-old pointed out what might be a flaw the other day. She's always done well in the personal health, hygiene category and has used her points to unlock a few facial and ear piercings I might not have otherwise approved of. Because I was hesitant, these were each a lot of points. But she was dedicated to developing very good health and hygiene habits and earned points very quickly. Compared to the piercing she just got, earning makeup privileges requires a relatively low point threshold. At her current rate, it would only take her about 2 months to earn them. However, she's recently complained to me that the point system is unfair, and that her ability to manage her piercings clearly indicates she's ready to wear makeup, so she shouldn't have to wait 2 months to gain the privilege. I've explained to her that wearing makeup comes with its own responsibilities separate from wearing piercings, and the point system is there to make sure she's not rushed into too many responsibilities at once. As a compromise, I've offered to split the makeup category into smaller sections so she can start experimenting sooner, i.e. foundation, then blush, etc. But she still says she should be allowed to use whatever makeup she wants now. So Reddit, am I being unreasonable? I feel as though budging on this would be unfair to my son, but maybe the point system is too strict in general for teenagers. What do you think? Edit. It seems necessary to point out that unlocking a privilege to use a product usually involves us buying the product for our kids, and they get access to unlockables that basically equate to mini shopping sprees related to said product. I've told my daughter she can use her allowance if she likes, but if she wants to use the nicer products she'll have to wait a bit. That part got left out due to character count. This sounds bizarre. Making your kids live a real-life RPG system for privileges. You are the asshole. I'm so glad my parents didn't make me earn points to make decisions about my body. You are the asshole. That system is completely ridiculous and is going to mess up your children so badly. Making all of those things so quantifiable and systematic is deeply worrying. Good Lord. It's weird because she has piercings, which involve a penetration of her body, and she isn't allowed to wear makeup, which can be washed off. And she's 13. Get ready to meet her beast within. Shudder. You are the asshole. What the fuck is this? You're raising your kids like they're video game characters. Points systems work great for kids. Going on the big boy potty equals 1 sticker. 10 stickers and you can choose 1 candy from the store. It is restrictive and controlling for anyone over the age of 10. They tell us in education not to do reward systems at all if it's a system that either spend or have the possibility of losing points. Get rid of this awful leveling up system and set rules instead. Bedtime is 10 o'clock. Homework is going to be checked before school and or bed, etc. Edit. And don't restrict your kids' self-expression. You are the asshole. What the fuck kind of control freak nonsense forces kids to earn basic personhood, and with a literal point system? Your kids are now getting old enough to realize how completely insane this is. You better drop it or they're going to be in a real hurry to get away from you at the first opportunity and never look back. You aren't granting them privileges, you're arbitrarily walling basic shit off. You are the problem here, not any lack of bullshit points. Okay, hold on. You are the asshole because human development is not a point-based system and trying to make it into one is off-putting at best. But if you don't want your 13-year-old to wear makeup yet, It sounds like there's no reason you can't sit down with her like the maturing person she is and discuss the reasons, outside of your point system, why you would prefer she wait. Telling her she can't because of a point system none of her peers has to follow isn't going to work. It's not a good reason to not try makeup. On the other hand, there are plenty of reasons to put off trying makeup. The beauty industry is predatory toward young girls. Makeup can cause skin problems. It only adds to your daily routine, etc. Try one of those and see if you can't reach a compromise. Dear Lord. I would say, hey, whatever works for you and as long as the kids are happy and healthy. But it doesn't sound like your kid is happy. Nor do I think such a complicated system is worth having if it's deteriorating over the concept of makeup. You should probably stop hiding behind these points to make a judgment call, and make one as an actual, yeah/no, parent. She sounds mature and responsible enough, and is curious about makeup. If you feel she's too young, then tell her so. But you've relied on this point system too long already since it seems your kid is already working out the mechanics to use it in their favor. Before you know it, it'll be their game, not a structure to follow. What a silly thing. You are the asshole. Edit. Typo. Am I the asshole for choosing my dogs over my brother's wedding? I, F31, have 2 siblings, both who are older than me. There is my sister Laura, F38, and brother Roger, M42. Roger has been married twice and has 2 children, M8 and F6, from his second marriage. He and his second wife separated in October and the divorce was finalized in December. Their marriage ended for numerous reasons, but Roger also cheated with a married woman who he works with. Roger can never be single and always has to have someone in his life. He will go on one date and buy that person a really expensive pair of earrings, an Apple Watch, etc. He's never had children when he's been single, however, so naturally when he got his second divorce the entire family asked him to please move slowly for the sake of the children. Despite requests, he already had a new girlfriend, and her children, over to the house on New Year's Eve with the children over. This relationship did not last. In the beginning of March, Roger went on a first date with Erin, F34, and she spent the night at his place and never left. She moved in on the first date and in May they became engaged. I was very hesitant of her because she was aware of his past and still jumped into the relationship. My niece became very attached to her, to the point where she would hit my nephew if he said anything bad about her. Aaron would call my nephew a bully when he would defend himself and show favoritism to my niece. The family begged Roger to slow down, but he stated he has never been in love like this. When Roger and Aaron became engaged 2 months after dating, they were originally going to be engaged for at least a year. Erin then said her entire extended family would be together across the country during Thanksgiving to spread one of her relatives' ashes, and she believed this would be the perfect time to get married. Erin is also determined to get married on a beach. The location of the wedding is not in a common place, so flights are sparse and expensive. We'd have to be there for at least 5 days. Laura had a COVID wedding last year, in Roger's backyard, and wants to also move out of their 1-bedroom apartment and still hasn't taken a honeymoon. I have been saving up for a house and also have an intense job, and taking that much time off around a holiday, when it's even more expensive to travel, would limit coworkers from seeing their families. I also have 3 dogs that have never been boarded. One has seizures and the other very recently went blind. Roger has said that Erin's family never thought she would get married. She's been engaged twice, so this day has to be perfect for her. He has stated he wants us there, but if no one can be there, then the important thing is that she is happy. Roger has been very distant and dismissive of us, despite the fact that we supported him 24/7 through his recent divorce, since Erin came around. Yet my mom wants me to go to the wedding. Am I the asshole for refusing to go to my brother's destination wedding and choosing my dog's career and finances over him? Not the asshole. You can make up for it at his next wedding. Not the asshole. You're never absolutely obligated to attend a destination wedding. If it had been local, you could just show up for support. But destination weddings come with the caveat of, if you can attend, and not, under any circumstances. Not the asshole. And it's not even about the dogs. The whole situation is just messy. Not the asshole. I don't want to judge, but they're not even giving each other room to breathe. They clearly have something going on that nobody is talking about, and they should have their own therapists. Like, I have so many questions. Is your brother afraid to be alone or something? Why did her previous engagements not work out? Does he just run a background check and call it good? Like, where do his kids play out in this? Is he considering them and their needs? How does she treat them? You have no reason to go to the ceremony and you have a lot of great reasons not to go. I wouldn't go. Like Jesus Christ. Not the asshole, but I wouldn't say it was because of the dogs, just say you cannot get time off work. Not the asshole, but I think you're using your finances and dogs as excuses to be against Roger's dumb decisions on here when that isn't necessary because we don't care. Whether it's necessary to use those things as excuses to Roger is a different story, and I hope you keep us informed on how crazy this adventure of his goes. Not the asshole. Destination weddings are an imposition for guests. Or a lovely vacation for guests. Just depends upon when and where they hit the guest's life and calendar. So in your case, it's an imposition. The dogs are not the problem because you can always get a dog sitter. The problem is more the scheduling and the lack of enthusiasm for wedding number 3. I'd blame work, the dog excuse is thin, and beg off. Send a gift and well wishes and keep your fingers crossed. Oof. My knives were out on your title. But you're decidedly not the asshole. She hit your niece? No. This is bad news and a tall ask for a first wedding, let alone a third.